Hello everyone, today I'm going to talk about how mainland media say Musk's reforms in the US government have shown results in just 100 days. Also, Chinese electric vehicle technology has outperformed American cars. People are saying that Xiaomi's newly launched car surpasses Tesla's electric vehicles in terms of price, features, and design. In Trump's new administration, the person who has contributed the most to China is probably Tesla's boss, Musk. He personally locked the doors of Voice of America, and even forced its managing body, the U.S. Agency for Global Media, to lay off more than 2,000 people. These days, those who spread rumors about China and the Black Hands trying to stir up a color revolution in China have all lost their jobs overnight. It's really satisfying for the people. It's a pity that Musk is leaving Trump's team. On May 20th, he told reporters that he would significantly cut down the time he spends on politics, because he feels he's already done enough. 4 days later, on May 24th, Musk posted on his own social media platform X, saying that he would return to his companies and start working around the clock, focusing on his Tesla, X platform, and Starship. This means Musk won't be hanging around the White House every day anymore. The mainland WeChat public account Yumian described it as Musk's 100 days reform, which is actually quite an apt description. It said that Musk was able to walk away from the cutthroat world of American politics unscathed, instead of getting shot in the head or mysteriously disappearing, and that Trump had already given him enough face. Trump handled this second-tier ally in his usual way, with a lazy approach, a soft purge, and a gradual phase-out. Musk was still considered lucky, but his 4-month stint in government almost cost him his position as the world's richest man. His company's performance plummeted. Just a few months ago, Musk took up the post as the head of the newly established Department of Government Efficiency under the Trump administration. At that time, he made bold promises, vowing to cut federal government spending by $2 trillion, which is nearly 1/3 of the 2005 federal budget. At the same time, this Department of Government Efficiency would self-terminate a year and a half later, on July 4, 2026, Independence Day. He said that by then, a leaner, more efficient, and less bureaucratic U.S. government would be the perfect gift for the country's 250th anniversary. It's easy to talk, but extremely hard to do. After running for just over 100 days, Musk's reforms only managed to save $170 billion in government spending. The Department of Government Efficiency also announced it was winding down operations, and the minister packed up and left. To put it nicely, the cooperation between Musk and Trump was essentially a brief marriage of convenience between global capital and populist governance. Trump hoped to use Musk's influence and methods to implement spending cuts, turning it into a fiscal trap and conveniently getting rid of his political opponents. On the other hand, Musk tried to use the revolving door between politics and business to clear regulatory hurdles for his companies, which could indirectly bring him even more commercial benefits. Musk's direction for reform was to significantly cut the number of government civil servants, rein in the massive federal bureaucracy, and shrink its size to the lowest level in at least the past 20 years. However, when it comes to the U.S. government, which is such a massive and bureaucratic institution, how easy could reform really be? Yumian summed it up by saying that Musk faced a powerful siege from 4 different forces. First, there's opposition from political rivals. Musk was never a politician to begin with, but he ended up in a position where he controlled the purse strings and made key decisions. What he wanted to change would ruffle the feathers of all the interest groups in Washington. It was inevitable that Musk would become everyone's target. Second, there's infighting among colleagues. On the surface, the White House cabinet seems harmonious, but in reality, there's constant power struggle. A non-establishment, non-partisan outsider from Silicon Valley somehow ended up outranking the Secretary of State and the Treasury Secretary, pointing fingers at everyone who would be willing to just follow his lead. So, Musk was constantly at odds with the White House cabinet officials. In the White House cabinet meeting room this March, Musk openly scolded Secretary of State Rubio in front of everyone, saying he had no funding sources, and questioned Rubio, asking, "Have you ever fired anyone? Or was the only person you fired an employee from the Government Efficiency Department that I lead?" Musk had even bigger conflicts with Treasury Secretary Bessent. The two of them got into a heated argument in the White House in April, almost coming to blows. Bessent, who is usually very well-mannered, cursed at Musk using foul language. Musk didn't back down at all and told Bessent to speak louder. Besant accused Musk's government efficiency department of making a lot of noise but achieving very little. Musk shot back, saying that Besant was a proxy for Soros. He also managed his own hedge fund in a mess. An eyewitness described the scene as two middle-aged billionaires acting like they were putting on a reality show in the White House lobby. You can imagine how many people would attack Musk in front of Trump. Third, public opinion is hard to appease. There are all sorts of dissatisfaction among Americans towards Musk, and it's possible some people support actions against him behind the scenes. There have been calls to incite street protests, destroy Tesla stores, and even his cars have been set on fire. The pressure from public opinion is overwhelming. Polls show that 77% of Americans have a negative view of Musk's performance in government. Fourth, there's a clash of personalities. Trump is tough, and so is Musk. One is a realist skilled in political maneuvering, while the other is a paradoxical mix of tech fanatic and liberal. At first, you could say it was a strong alliance, but in the end, they split because Musk's achievements overshadowed his boss and their personalities clashed. This outcome was inevitable. For Musk, he has now become a pawn of the US government. Maybe at the very beginning, he was actually sincere and wanted to govern properly and push for some reforms. But when faced with the reality of American politics, this kind of idealism always ends in failure. The structure of American interests isn't something an outsider like Musk can easily shake up. If you look at it from another angle, after Musk spent a few months playing around in government, his own business, especially Tesla, took a serious hit. This is yet another story of someone going against the emperor. Recently, Xiaomi launched its new SUV, the U7. Even though they haven't announced the price or started sales, it's already caused a stir. On May 26, one of Tesla's biggest supporters on Wall Street, Morgan Stanley analyst Adam Jonas published a research report saying that Tesla can't keep up with the electric vehicles being launched in China, and that China may have already won the EV battle. Morgan Stanley's view comes from the launch of the Xiaomi U7. Xiaomi entered the electric vehicle sector in 2021, and last year released its first model, the Xiaomi SU7. This car even Ford CEO Gorm Farley even bought one and drove it back in the US, and it left a deep impression on him. The Xiaomi SU7 achieved huge success in the Chinese market, selling as many as 320,000 units in just 11 months after its launch. Morgan Stanley said the newly launched Xiaomi U7 is Xiaomi's second model, and its main competitor is Tesla's electric crossover, the Model Y. Wall Street experts all say that Xiaomi, this newly established car company, has far surpassed the American EV leader Tesla in terms of price, features, and design. Morgan Stanley mentioned in their research report that they recommend investors take a closer look at the Xiaomi U7 and its specifications. It looks like a high-end car from Ferrari or Aston Martin, but it only costs as much as a Toyota Camry. Then we have to ask ourselves, should Tesla be launching more and better electric vehicles? But in the past 5 years, Elon Musk has become less and less interested in the business of making and selling cars. On the contrary, he believes Tesla's future lies entirely in developing autonomous driving technology and the Optimus humanoid robot. Tesla has also announced that it has abandoned plans to launch a budget electric car priced as low as $25,000. In addition, Morgan Stanley analysts have also said that China's global expansion has dealt a heavy blow to Tesla's car business. It is estimated that by 2030, which is 5 years from now, China will account for 1/3 of global car sales. For Tesla, this is no small problem. No matter how much it promises to become a trillion-dollar AI company in the future, almost all of its current revenue still comes from car sales, not from autonomous driving systems or robots. Moreover, the Morgan Stanley team believes that it's not just Tesla that's been left behind by Xiaomi. They think that it could take many years for Ford in the US to have a product comparable to the Xiaomi SU7 or U7. By that time, Xiaomi will have already launched even newer car models. In addition, Morgan Stanley also emphasized that the high tariffs imposed by the US and the ban on Chinese vehicle technology are currently keeping Xiaomi and similar products out of the American market. But it's only a matter of time before these Chinese brands enter the US, because you simply can't keep the best products and the best consumers apart forever. Morgan Stanley only discussed the challenge Xiaomi's new car poses to Tesla, but hasn't even mentioned the market leader BYD yet. Not only has BYD left Tesla far behind in sales in China, but BYD is also performing strongly in the European market. While Musk was busy playing politics, BYD had already surpassed Tesla in sales in Europe. According to a report by the Financial Times on May 22, BYD's monthly electric vehicle sales in Europe surpassed those of American EV maker Tesla for the first time in April, marking a major breakthrough in the Chinese automaker's efforts to expand overseas. According to data from an automotive intelligence company, BYD registered 7,231 pure electric vehicles in Europe in April alone, representing a year-on-year increase of 169%. In comparison, Tesla only registered 7,165 electric vehicles, which is a sharp year-on-year decrease of 49%, and this figure doesn't even include plug-in hybrid vehicles, which Tesla doesn't produce. In the same month, BYD's total registrations of all new energy vehicles in Europe, including plug-in hybrids, soared even more, with a 359% increase. If we look at global sales, BYD has already left Tesla far behind. In the first quarter of this year, Tesla delivered 337,000 electric vehicles worldwide, which is a 13.03% drop compared to last year, ranking second in global new energy vehicle sales. Meanwhile, BYD's pure electric vehicle sales in the first quarter have already reached 416,000 units, a year-on-year increase of 32.7%. Just counting electric vehicles alone, BYD has already surpassed Tesla. On top of that, BYD also sold 570,000 plug-in hybrid vehicles in the first quarter, with an even higher growth rate of 75.7%. In other words, BYD's total global sales of new energy vehicles in the first quarter of this year reached 1,001,000 units, ranking first in the world. In comparison, Tesla only sold 337,000 units worldwide. The two companies are simply not on the same level. To sum it up, first, Musk spent months playing politics, but his reforms failed and he left disappointed. Second, during the same period, Musk's Tesla was further challenged by Chinese carmakers like BYD and even Xiaomi. Tesla definitely can't compete with BYD, which is now #1 in the world. Even Xiaomi, which climbed to 8th place globally in new energy vehicles with just a single model, has seen its newly launched U7 completely surpass Tesla's Model Y in the same class. Third, this is also another round of the China-US rivalry. On the same track of new energy vehicles, Tesla is already a rising American company, but it still can't beat China's BYD, or even Xiaomi. From the perspective of American companies, Chinese firms really are quite formidable.